Here's some random tips and tricks for Tarkov that you might not have heard before. For example, did you know this little fridge on Factory is actually lootable? It's in the med tents, and sometimes you can apparently find random loot in there, like a LEDX, for example, so it's worth checking. Another thing that's not really that well known, or isn't immediately obvious, but isn't added in recently, is the ability to check the ammo penetration in-game and in your stash. So if you have ammo loose like this, you can hover over the penetration icon down here and you can see what level of armor it will penetrate through. This gives you an idea of whether ammo is even worth taking and loading into your weapons, and how good it will be, how effective it will be against higher level players that might have higher level armor on that would otherwise stop the bullets. You can therefore decide whether it's worth putting in your pouch, your save container, and getting out with you, or just throwing back on the ground because it's taking up space and it's not going to be any good. You've probably seen when you're in your hideout and in the main menu that you have these little green notification icons to let you know when there are things you need to look at. Did you know though, if you click on them, it will take you right to the thing you need to find. So in the hideout, for example, it will take you directly to the thing that you need to work on and access and then pull your loot out of, or do whatever with and interact with it. So that's pretty handy. Otherwise, you can also see you've got this handbook on the right-hand side where you get loads of notifications whenever you discovered something new, and that can be annoying. But if you just click on the notification icon, that'll dismiss that, and now it's no longer green, so you can dismiss all of them without looking at each one individually. One of the things I like to tell people is to drink all the drinks they come across and eat all the food that you find in-game, because it not only gives you experience points for searching and using those things, but it also gives you an added bonus for your skills because it helps level up your skills, but also it gives you a short-term bonus as well. And that's why you can actually craft some of these in the nutrition unit. So if you look, for example, at the hot rod and you go to inspect it, you'll see that it enhances your endurance skill, your strength skill, and your mag drills for 300 seconds. You get a +1 on each of those skills in-game, which actually makes your character more effective. Now, this is actually applied across a number of different items. So the Slickers bar has intellect, attention, and stress resistance benefits. It gives you +1 skill for 60 seconds. So if you eat this and drink the energy drink, you can get those bonuses. The can of condensed milk also gives you bonus for intellect, attention, and stress resistance. And the max energy drink gives you endurance, stress resistance, and mag drills. Although you'll notice the stress resistance is actually down on the energy drink. But you can see that eating and drinking is actually beneficial in more than one way. What isn't beneficial, though, is killing other scavs when you're a scav. Now, I just killed a scav as a scav because he was shooting at my friend, or at least that's what it looked like it happened. Actually, my friend shot him first, then he shot back, then I shot him. The downside of this is all the scavs, AI scavs on the map, will then be aggroed and will shoot at you. And if you shoot back, that can have a negative effect as well, and this can actually destroy your scav rep. So you'll see I've got a penalty here for killing scavs of -0.18, which then affect different things, because if you do that too much, AI scavs will be shooting at you. You'll also have to pay more for the car extracts, and it just is a pain, and it's not worth doing. You want to get your scav rep up, so don't shoot other scavs when you're a scav, because doing that, we then actually use double Y to bring up the little menu, and you can talk to scavs and to get them to help you when you get a high enough level. So having a good scav rep is actually really helpful. There are some things that you can actually do to give you passive benefits as well. So if you're maxing out your hideout, you'll find one of the things is the Hall of Fame. Now, if you put dog tags in there from people that you've killed that are on the opposite faction, so if you're a bear, you grab USEC dog tags, for example, or vice versa, put them in there along with a bunch of trophies and other things. This actually gives you a benefit. One, it separates it from your stash, so all the trophies in there actually aren't taking up space, but two, it also gives you a skill group benefit that you can see there as well. So that can be really handy. Another thing that isn't really clear is about playing scavs in general. Now, playing scav is great for getting extra loot out of a game and getting more money when you're dying a lot as a player and you just want to get more. But did you know that the experience that you get as a scav doesn't actually count towards your main player? It's separated entirely. So if you're going through looting everything in sight, trying to get as much XP as possible, and end up getting out of the game with loads of experience, that doesn't actually count over to your player and help you get through the levels, which is a real shame. Now you can see this in action, because if you look at your overall stats, you'll see a list of statistics. You can go into the separate tab here and look at the skills. You'll notice that I've maxed out my metabolism because I just drink and eat everything in sight. And you can get a look at the overall skills. You can also go separately into the scav section and see how many kills and things you've got there. So the data on that is separated out. But if you go into the game as a scav and then hit tab and go to the skills section, you'll see what your skill levels are on there. You'll see my metabolism, for example, is only level 20 as a scav. It's not as high. All the skills are different, so your scav just isn't as awesome as your PMC. Even if you're scabbing regularly, you'll probably find your stats aren't as good. But you can still work on this. Obviously, you can work on it separately, and it is beneficial to do so. So, for example, if we're reloading magazines in-game, this actually helps with your mag drill skill, which means that you can then do this faster in future, which means you're then improving your scav, and the same logic applies with PMC. But if you look, I've boosted my mag drill skills here. Hopefully some weird tips that you haven't seen before. I do like it when it's just two of us. You feel like you operate so much better when it's just two, don't you? It's much easier to keep an eye on your mate and know where they're at. You're not accidentally shooting each other or getting lost quite so much. Not that I don't enjoy playing as a group, but it's just so much more hectic. Behind! Oh, USEC. It was USEC direction.